Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. RedsBet supporting the Anfield Wrap and supporting many fan-related causes and projects through 2019. Very, very pleased to partner with them. It's redsbet.com if you want to go to that. I have got in front of me Caoimhe O'Neill, John Gibbons, Alison McGovern and Rob Gutmann. And I was thinking when the game happened, Rob, that for you, more than anybody I know, I can't imagine anything better than a Liverpool goal after 14 seconds, current climate.
Really calm my nerves, that did, Neil.
Really
sorted me right out.
I bet you, honestly, like it must have been an absolute tonic for the Rob Gutmann troops. It's exactly. Can we just do that for every game now? Because that was, it's like cheating in a strange way. I'll take it all the time.
When did that last happen? I was calling it at 4 seconds. I said, "How quick was that?" I turned to
4 seconds.
I went, 4 seconds. I said, "That's definitely the quickest goal I've ever seen." They were about 15. I don't know what they were doing for those.
It is the quickest goal scored in the Premier League.
By Liverpool.
By Liverpool.
By Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
Shane Long scored one from where? Space-time continuum.
Yeah.
He went through a hole in the universe and scored.
The other team weren't out yet.
Exactly. It was crazy. And then it turned out to be Naby Keita, who's my favourite Liverpool player of all time.
It's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, I was absolutely made up. And I immediately did what I always do if we score in the first minute. I always go, "This will prove our undoing." I always turn to someone and say that.
It's quite a score too early.
Now I'm really worried.
I really like to tempt fate like that way. I thought it won't be. We'll score for 3 in the next 5. Unfortunately, we then had a terrible 10 minutes, didn't we? Or did we have a terrible 10 minutes?
We did a bit.
20? Felt pretty rubbish, but yeah. I was relaxed with the rubbishness of it because I thought they're not good enough to score against us, are they? So it was all good.
On the terrible 10 minutes, Alison, I think there is a slight thing here, which is that if you are Huddersfield, it is almost like the worst thing that could possibly have happened has just happened. So you get to sort of play a little bit. And I think that apart from the fact that they are criminally bad in both boxes and give the ball away unbelievably cheaply, Huddersfield did all right.
Oh yeah, they did. They sort of like had a little go at playing, like sort of like coming out and their passing was all right actually. Like and. I'm not sure we had a terrible 20 minutes so much as like they had a sort of halfway decent 20 minutes that was sort of a bit funny almost because like they must have just been thinking psychologically like, well, we're down, which is pretty bad, and now we're playing Anfield, which is, you know, all of our hopes and dreams together, and we've let one in after 14 seconds. This is great, and so why not? And yeah, it was sort of okay, like, but in the end you're kind of looking at them thinking, yeah, we're gonna score. And like my girls football WhatsApp kind of like came alive with people's predictions. Like we were like going higher and higher, like 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. And yeah, I kind of thought, well, this is probably going to be all right.
It reminded me, John, of the Adam Melia maxim that if you can score one in 10 minutes, why don't you just score one every 10 minutes and get 9? That's the rules. That's the way the maths should work. Off that logic, I think we just scored 600 if we can score one every 14 seconds. But I don't know if Liverpool almost let Huddersfield come onto them a little bit, or whether or not Huddersfield decide they're going to adopt the idea that we may as well just sort of give it everything we've got for 20. But I do think there's something else as well, which is if you are Huddersfield, if you're the Huddersfield manager, if you were Cardiff where at the minute you were coming to Anfield, you probably do set up a bit more conservatively. You possibly think about playing a back 5, doing all the stuff we've seen recently. But they are also a side now who are just all about the future. They're all about preparing for next season, and I think you see that as the game in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and you can see it with the teams they're picking as well. They're not picking players who they think are going to leave in the summer now. So it's a weakened Huddersfield team that we're from a sort of weak position, if you like. But they all had to go, as you say, and I think, you know, I mean, Rob's kind of, you know, sort of semi-joking about the idea of an early goal being bad, but I think we did relax a little bit too much. I think maybe, you know, it's
Klopp
good.
Sort of said that as well, didn't he? He said that we scored too soon for his liking as well. He said it upset their plans.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Yeah, just kind of, but you know, they went on to win 5-0, so you can't kind of criticise them too much, really. But Huddersfield did have a bit of a go, but sort of why not? They're in that position that they've been relegated, haven't they? And you know, they come to Anfield, and I like that they sold out their end as well, and you know, because it's the idea of, well, we don't know when we're going to come again.
Yeah,
and I think there was a lot of we don't know when we're going to come again in the stands and probably a little bit on the pitch as well. There
was the opening goal is. It looks like a bit of a shanked finish from Keita, but I actually think it's a good finish, Caoimhe, in that it's doing all the rules of hitting the inside of the post. What is undoubtedly a brilliant finish is Sadio Mane's header to make it 2-0. It is the most emphatic of headers imaginable. It's a lovely goal.
He nearly had a hat-trick of them, didn't he?
Bob Latchford.
Would have been amazing.
That's what I know about him.
Again, there was like a little bit of jocularity, I think, from Klopp after the game about whether Sadio was like trying too hard to get a hat trick, and whether that was like, you know.
You were watching Salah and him, and there was a time when the ball sort of got crossed and they were both going for it. I thought, one of these is going to have to duck out here and give the other, and then they sort of wrecked it for each other, and I thought, but that amazing. It's the first time, and I think Liverpool, the last team to have 2 players was Chelsea, scored 20 goals in 2009-10.
Yeah, it's only happened, I think, 5 times.
And I think we've done it. Newcastle have done it.
Is it league goals they both scored?
Yeah, having 2 players to score over 20, which is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Times,
this record-breaking season. Last night was one of them where you just were reading about all these records going, wow, this is just phenomenal. Like, 5 goals by the most by African players in a Premier League match. 20 clean sheets for Alisson, the most since obviously Pepe Reina in a decade. Just there was these loads and loads of just amazing stats. It just felt like last night was that. These are record-breaking Reds. They might not win the league, but we hope they do. But wow, we can look back, and some of these will be some of the stats we broke this season and the records we've made. They'll be going for years. So that header was, to get back onto your point, amazing, because Keita's goal was like the quickest goal ever for Liverpool in the Premier League, but it took the longest time to go in, didn't it? Like it was like, where is it? And then it just nicked the post, and it was like, oh, it's in, it's okay, yeah. But
whose cross was it for that, Mane? Was it Robertson?
Henderson.
Really, from the left?
For the first one, from the right.
No, Mane's first. Is it? Oh, I'm losing.
By the way,
grip.
Mane should be too small to score headers in the the sort of.
The way he does for the first one, it's Robertson. Robertson's the first one.
Yes,
sorry, I'm thinking of the second one. Sorry.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, because he we score a lot of goals with our feet. Liverpool, obviously, our players aren't the tallest, and we don't have that big sort of striker up top, do we? But
and it's not how we play either.
No, we don't like lump the ball at all or anything like that. But obviously, we've got 2 amazing fullbacks as well. Obviously, Henderson comes up with the assist, but I think that's 24 assists, which is just unbelievable. I think there was another stat. I'm like becoming a stat person now, aren't I? Interesting.
This is good, Caoimhe. Yeah, we're wrapped. With the
and
the new
I
stats.
think it was United had like their midfield in like one of their amazing league-winning seasons. Had like 26 assists between the whole midfield. We've got 24 between our full-backs. Like, this is just crazy, phenomenal stuff. Liverpool are amazing.
Rob, I want to talk to you about Mane, because the way he does bring Barnes to mind now more and more, and as the goal scorer and run, he's gone from being the flying winger who can put them away to basically being dead-eyed in front of goal now. If you sort of go through his Liverpool career, and for me, the quality of the finishing is. It's second to none. It's second to none in this division at the moment. The only person it might be second to is the lad who plays on the other side. Yeah. To be honest with you, Aguero's brilliant in tight areas with his feet, and he's great from those narrow angles. Aguero, and he's terrific there. Kane's had an injury hit season. It is almost fair to say that Sadio Mane could currently be the best person in front of goal in the league, and that brings Barnes to mind, 88, 89, 90 versus the player who turns up in 87, 88 when he does get 15 goals, I think, but 89, 90 he's the top scorer in the division, and Mane's doing what he's doing without taking pens.
Yeah, I remember with John Barnes, it became apparent after the first season that he was also just as good at being a number 9. He could do what he liked, really, in front of the. His main thing is he was very good in front of the goals, and I think Klopp said that. He said we can play. He's only recently started referencing saying Sadio can play as the number 9 for us. I think he looks like a technically perfect striker. I mean, you'd have to say he's probably the best header of the ball at the club outside of Virgil van Dijk, obviously.
He's good.
He's pretty decent, yes. Very calm.
But he's taller, to be fair.
He is taller, to be fair. But as a technical header of the ball, I think Sadio Mane is imperious. He's really, really good at how many has he scored now with his head this season? I'm going to say 19. But it's my stat. No, but it seems, I think certainly post-Christmas, the heading rate has increased and increased. And he's, as I said, and there's all kinds of headed finishes as well. There's a nice little glancer into top corners, which he did the other weekend. And hitting, coming onto balls at such pace is no easy thing. People think it always looks an easier finish than it is, I think, when the net bulges and it's just a whipped cross. But he's got to time everything right.
He's got to time everything right, Alison, and it's what he is timing right is running the second half of this season. I think he has a better second half of last season. He then continues that form into the first half of this season, and then he's now gone another level, gone up another notch, and there aren't that many more notches to go. He is right now he's probably all in. As I say, there's Raheem Sterling, there's Sergio Aguero, there's Mo Salah, there's Sadio Mane, and they are probably your four best attackers in this division this season.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting because we're now 1 and 2 in the Golden Boot. Like, nobody's really thinking about that. I think perhaps because we were a little bit obsessed with the competitive element of it with Kane last season, that it felt like a more important thing somehow. Whereas this season, it's kind of an amazing thing to have 1 and 2, but we're not really focused on it. I think with Sadio as well, it's not obvious thing to say. Like, what would his position at Liverpool be if we didn't have Mo Salah? Like, would he be the kind of main focus of the team?
Yes.
I think that he probably, like, there was a moment before Salah came where he was. I feel like in my mind there was like a moment where it felt like he was going to be our big signing that really changed the team, and then Mo Salah arrived. So would he be this massive focus of the team? Possibly, but in the end, as Caoimhe was saying, these are record-breaking Reds, and he will. I feel sure that, like, the history books will be quite kind to him, and he will be seen as having had this consistent impact, whereas Mo perhaps has been a bit like up and down, and his kind of scoring rate has been a bit more varied over that period that you were just talking about, Neil, from the end of last season into where we are now. Sadio's been like a consistent, powerful, strong force, and therefore I think that people will look back on him, as Rob says, as a kind of Barnes figure, or insert other great Liverpool players here.
He was readying himself to be our best player when we signed Salah, I think. His first season, he was absolutely fantastic.
And then he gets the injury against Everton.
He scores a great goal. I thought at the moment he scores like a really good goal against Everton, and I think Coutinho sort of matches him with a brilliant goal. I thought these two are in proper competition now to be our best player, and I think I'm edging it to Sadio Mane. And then he gets the injury. He came back in pre-season, started really lively. I think at Watford on the opening day he was really good, scored a good goal. And people were still seeing Salah as sort of like a backup sort of player, and then he scored a scruffy goal. And before we knew it, though, Salah had eclipsed him, and Sadio got sent off, and his Liverpool career took a little bit of a 2 or 3 month hiatus, I think. But it's easy to forget just how important he was going to be for us, and he actually is now. It's just that there are other brilliant players in our team as well.
I think it's one, John, where, again, to use the Barnes comparison, he seems to me like such a complete footballer that he can play right the way. As the manager's mentioned him at number 9 his first season for us. He plays off the right. Since then he's done his work off the left. I think he does a lot of work deeper. At times I thought last night he was almost centre forward, to be honest with you. It was almost like they played 2 up front with Sturridge deeper. At times it looked that way. Whether or not that was just the way in which it was breaking down on the pitch, you can never tell. My point though is that he looks the most complete in terms of, if you're going to pick a 4-3-3, you can put Sadio Mane anywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's how the manager sees him as well. And I think there was a little bit of a diamond last night. I know they played that in the last game as well, and I think they were sort of, trying a few different formations. Really, it was a night to maybe kind of experiment a little bit. But Sadio he's a gift, isn't he? For the manager, in terms of what he can do, his work rate, his tactical kind of excellence, really, in terms of being able to play in different positions, being able to do different jobs for the team. And yeah, as Rob says, other players might get more heralded, but maybe they shouldn't. You know what I mean? Because he's a phenomenal footballer. He can score every type of goal. He's weighing in with the headers last night, but he's great with both feet as well, and just a fan, and seems a really top man as well. And so we are really lucky to have him, and we're really lucky to have all of them. And the fact is, Firmino was missing last night, and when you saw that, you're like a little bit, oh no, 1-5-0, and it's you just these lads just get on with it, don't they? And they can take the little knocks or someone missing, and they go, oh, sound, I'll just score 2 today, and you score 2, and we'll be laughing.
Caoimhe, the other fellow who scores 2, Mo Salah, it's still strange. I mean, they could only pick 6 people to shortlist for the PFA Player of the Year, to be fair, and someone's got to miss out, and it'll always be a bit of a conversation. But it is strange that he's not made it in there. He now sits as top scorer in the country, and again, we have to be careful that we don't treat excellence as something absolutely mundane. Last night, Mo Salah was excellent. He was excellent at football. He gets himself 2 goals, and he's an endless danger and a thorn in the side of Huddersfield.
Yeah, and I thought when Oxlade-Chamberlain come on, which was absolutely just a lovely moment, it's sort of like, it was like this nostalgic moment, and I thought, whoa, we're very much like that team that went to Kiev last year. They just seem to be, because we haven't...
Get the old gang back together.
It was like, it was weird. It just felt like Salah just looked like he did it, because I don't think he's been probably technically as good this season as he was last season, but obviously he's still got all them goals, so he is. But there's that little margin where you think that first season was just explosive.
Aren't you just less surprised now?
Yeah, I guess so. And obviously defenders are, a bit more on him, aren't they? They don't give him any space.
They've watched more videos.
Yeah, they have, and they definitely prepared for him more. But he just looked like everything he touched, he just seems to have it back, doesn't he? And I think, it's sort of unfortunate that one of these two is going to have to miss out on the Golden Boot. Not that it's this big, huge thing, but for a player, I think, an individual, they want to win these awards, don't they? Look at the race last year, like you say, with Kane getting that dubious goals panel in and all that,
Do you think there's a bit of jealousy with amongst his fellow professionals towards Mo Salah? I think there's to a degree. The fact that he came from nowhere last year and suddenly made them all look crap by scoring 45 goals. Yeah. I remember even Kane, I know this is a bit, what's the word, siege mentality, but I remember Kane saying in an interview, people going, Salah's done well this season. Last season, he sort of begrudgingly said, yeah, but you kind of have to do it every year. I think, well, he has gone and done it every year.
Yeah, I think it's less siege mentality, and it's more like there is something about the narrative that people love. They love the idea of being like, yeah, it's like one season wonder. They really wanted that to be true because that would fit the kind of story in their head that's already there. Also, then there's the England versus international players mentality.
Yeah,
I think it's quite interesting that Salah's obviously a massive global name now.
Yeah,
I don't think it's injurious to Spurs fans to say that Harry Kane is not.
No, I agree. I think he's above all this PFA stuff. I don't think he's bothered. Yeah. We can say it's a shame. He's like, oh no, it's all right. I'll just go and win an Oscar or something. Exactly. Time Man of the Year. I've got my eye on a Nobel Peace Prize.
Except bearing in mind he's dealing with the vagaries of global politics. I think
Mo Salah is bigger than football.
Yeah,
we can probably say that. I reckon. Getting named on that prestigious list and just hanging out with all them. But it looks so natural.
Rob doesn't want him to be bigger than football. Rob wants him to dominate football and have the world tremble, as his very mention. I can tell Rob's vaguely uncomfortable.
I am vaguely uncomfortable.
I didn't
like that quote. Someone said he's a better human being than he is a footballer. I thought that's no good to me. That's no good to me at all.
Puts no parsnips around yours.
He's not working hard enough, then, is he?
No, exactly. He's doing good. The human condition. No, none of that. No, it is a wonderful thing. But I suppose there's something in all of us, like when Michael Owen became too good and became England's Michael Owen. He wanted to be Liverpool's Mo Salah, not Egypt's. I don't even like Egypt. I don't like Egypt claiming Mo Salah. Those guys.
Global Mo.
Yeah.
Global Mo.
I think the best thing about it is he's still Liverpool's. On the front cover, he's in a Liverpool kit.
In the purple kit, yes.
Yeah. He is in the purple kit. He is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
He was. I mean, I'll just say it again, Rob. But we've got to be really, really careful. We are watching a genuinely brilliant footballer play genuinely brilliant football. What we can't do is sort of start going, it's 5-0 against Huddersfield. As I said last night on the Pink, you don't get that many 5-0s. 5-0, you can act like 5-0 happens. Oh yeah, there's loads of them. There is not a ton of 5-0s. No matter where the opposition are in the league, you don't get that many.
No, and actually, that's some strange stats. I think about Liverpool and City haven't been beating people by more than a couple of goals since sort of the exuberance of the first part of the season, where there's less to lose. I think City, apart from that, beating Chelsea 6-0, have beaten no one by more than a couple of goals since about January. It's really outside of the Burton Albions of this world and everyone else they've drawn in cup competition. But I don't think we thrashed people many. Yeah, we did Watford,
yeah.
And Bournemouth a few, but they're generally quite narrow. So I wasn't taking it for granted. Going into the ground, there was talk about goal difference, and I was going, yeah, but this could be a nightmare game. This could easily be a scruffy little 2-1. There was also a bit of it's easy to forget now because we all feel quite up. You can't not be up after watching Liverpool win 5-0. But there was a sense after that United City game of what's the word? I don't know. The balloon had burst. The bubble.
There was a bit of deflation around the camp.
There was a bit of deflation. It would have been easiest to turn in a confused performance, I think. And just gone, okay, we got out of that one with the win we needed to get. But I don't know, to pass, even though we're on the back foot in terms of the odds of us winning this league now, to pass the baton over to City now for Sunday and to go, look, you really are going to have to be very good because we're really, really good. And I think afterwards there was a realisation, which people hadn't anticipated before, that we've passed this 90-point threshold, and that is ridiculous, even if we lose our last 2 games, which we won't. It's ridiculous. And I started thinking on the way home and going, Liverpool are now definitively one of the best 3 teams in the world, maybe the best. And that's why I want us to win the Champions League, if nothing else, because I think Liverpool can show they are the best team in the world.
You mentioned before your favourite player of the best team in the world ever is Naby Keita. It has to be all done with it is Huddersfield. This is a side that is planning for life in the Championship, but that's almost what I want Naby Keita to do. I'm not, I think we can say Liverpool are good in big games, and I think Naby Keita will join that big game party. But the idea of, Naby Keita, home and away next season against the bottom 10, I'm salivating at the prospect of it. The idea of putting some bums to the sword. Someone has to do it, and it looks to me like Naby Keita could well prove to be the man who next season will flat track bully with the best of them at worst.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of sort of perception of Naby before he came here. I don't know, from a lot of fans, that we were going to get something which was going to bang goals in from the edge of the box or beat 3 men and score. Was what I'd watched him at Leipzig, he's a pressing machine, and we saw that last night. He will get you on the ball a ridiculous amount of times, and that's what I think Klopp saw in him. That's what I think that the scouts saw in him, and he will get some goals because he's now scored 3 in his last 5 starts, which is beginning to be numbers. And I don't think it'll prove a little purple patch. I think he will continue to score at a considerable rate. I don't think we've seen the best of what he can do on a ball. I mean, only very, very small snatches of it. I'm beginning to wonder, I wouldn't have, looking at a few days ahead to the Barcelona game, I wouldn't have been risking him in the Nou Camp, given his slow evolution this season with Liverpool. I don't know. I know after Huddersfield I would, but I actually think I can see it now. Although I know we'll come on to talk about it, I'm sure. Yeah. If Liverpool play a certain type of midfield, I will advocate for it later in the show.
Okay, excellent.
I'm stopping here.
It's very exciting, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? I feel like the trailing stuff to come on the Anfield Wrap. Don't go anywhere. We're always going to advocate for something.
Just wait for it. It'll be big when it happens.
It'll be huge. Caoimhe, Naby is... Again, and I thought you're getting to see an exuberance from these players. They all talked as interest, and they all went out the way, even social and in interviews, to say the lift that Oxlade-Chamberlain being back brought them. There is an exuberance about the play, and I think you see it in Keita and Henderson. Again, they are 2 footballers who are in the middle of the park, and they're very much just enjoying being footballers in the middle of the park. It's tremendous to see.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, next season he's just going to be brilliant because he didn't sort of have the time. Like the desperation, not that we're desperate, but it's a results business, obviously, and it's going to be next season as well. We need to win every game. We want to go for it again. But I think he sometimes got the fans got on his back a little bit too much because he weren't doing things that he should, like, if he give the ball away or anything. You saw it a little bit last night with Sturridge. Fans were getting a little bit like, even though, we were bossing the game, but a couple of his passes went astray and he didn't quite look himself. And, I feel like next season he'll have that sort of, obviously every game's important, we know that, but he'll have that time, I think, to sort of mould into it, won't he? But yeah, I think the Southampton goal for him is just such a big boost. It just
changed his
game,
it just
changed. He needed that. He had moments, I think, against Leicester and West Ham in them games, there were just moments like for an assist or a goal he was through on, and it never happened for him, and when it did, you knew that it would just sort of set him alight, and it has, and he's coming into himself.
Did you see what Klopp said something in the post-match last night? It might have been Dave Lynch from the Standard who asked him the question. He said, Keita's getting better, Chamberlain back, things are looking good for the future, not just for now, but for next season. And Klopp just went, that was and is the plan. And I just thought, no shit. It was a great response. But you could sort of see, Keita is going to be the player next season in Klopp's head anyway. Do you know what I mean? This is not. It's not just holding what we have here. It's not even about buying new players. It's about the development of the squad.
On that, Alison, on the other side of Keita, Henderson plays, sets up one of the goals, does the business through the game. Talking about the exuberance and enjoying yourself, the manager was almost apologetic when he brought Oxlade-Chamberlain on and had to move Henderson back when he seemed to be suggesting it to him as though, and Jordan wasn't bothered at all, but it was as though he was saying, sorry about this, because you've been enjoying that so much. And for me, that's just fantastic management.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Keith mentioned it before, like the sense of affection when Oxlade-Chamberlain came on, but it was about obviously his journey, and you know, we've all watched his social media and like how much he's kind of like both just like kept himself just in a, you know, what must have been an incredibly difficult thing to go through as a professional footballer. I mean, I can't imagine how you kind of keep yourself focused, and no doubt he's had his really dark times, but he's clearly kept himself with the view that this day would come, and there it is. So absolutely great. But the sense of joy in the ground, let's be honest, was already at quite a high level. And then, you know, those substitutions were really made to a set rest legs, yes, but that substitution was made for that player to a certain extent. I would imagine Shaqiri too, like just to like get him running around and be in there, and you know, it's important for them to get on the pitch, isn't it? So it wasn't tactical. It wasn't anything to do with the game really. And so like what happened in Anfield, that sense of joy at Oxlade-Chamberlain coming on was just like it was like the beautiful cherry on the icing of a lovely cake.
There was loads of positives, wasn't there? And I think that's a nice thing where you're looking at Huddersfield in the week and thinking, well, we just need to win and we're not going to get any.
There's almost no wins in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
if you win, everyone
absolutely.
says, oh, you've just won, but it actually feels like we've come out, we're all bouncing, the ground was great. There was huge wins.
There was loads of wins. Like psychologically, I think for the team, there was just loads of wins, and you know, you can't, as we were saying before about the 5 goals, you can't be sad about that. I mean, that they're going to have all come in with a great boost, and that's kind of needed in it. You could imagine a Liverpool side faced with this that would just be overwhelmed with the title thing, but actually they've managed to get themselves into quite a good place, I think, with the enjoyment of the football, and that's the best thing for everyone. You know, I don't think you could play at this level without still enjoying it.
Yeah, and I think as I said before, in terms of the positives, like, you know, obviously Chamberlain coming on is brilliant and really enjoying it, and the goalie's really tight for making that save. I think, you know,
should let it in,
he's rubbish, isn't he? I mean, you know, you let other things in, mate.
Yeah, I know. It was really frustrating, but the fact that it's more minutes for Gomez, and it's a nice little cameo for Shaqiri as well. Like, he's brilliant for the 5th goal, and I think
he really is. Yeah.
You know, he hasn't had much game time recently, and that's been, you know, I'm sure frustrating for him, but the fact that he gets a little bit of a run around, and it's a lovely ball for Robertson. It's one of them where the pass for the assist is almost better than the assist, isn't it? But Andy Robertson gets his 18th for the season or whatever it is, and but it's a lovely kind of weighted ball, and so that's what I mean about when I say, you know, there's more positives than you thought you were going to get out of a Huddersfield win. Really, I thought all the midfield were terrific. You know, we've kind of mentioned them individually really, but I thought as a free they were great, and obviously it's more goals for the lads up front as well. I think Sturridge is probably the only real kind of like slight negative, but you know, I mean, we won 5-0.
It was all right. I mean, it wasn't terrible for Daniel.
No, I wouldn't say it was terrible.
I think that could be maybe his last
Well, it's probably his last start in at Anfield playing for Liverpool for him.
Might be his last. There was a sense with the ovation, wasn't there? I think that it might be the last we saw of Daniel. I don't think anyone quite wanted to think about it being that. I thought the best thing for Daniel really is that he got picked, because it showed, because Klopp wouldn't have done it for sentimentality's reason. He would have done it because he genuinely would have been brilliant in training. He must have been better than Origi, better than Shaqiri. He must have had a really good week, which is heartening to show that he's still putting it in. Okay, in a game, he's not played for a while. It's not going to work out, but he's still trying.
You never know. I mean, exactly. Maybe there is something there that Klopp sees. Maybe there is a plan.
Yeah.
Was there offside goals that Sturridge? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, he did get a goal. Just didn't.
I immediately thought that was a VAR. Definitely would have given it goal. I have not seen it like that.
Do you do that a lot these days?
Oh, of
VAR.
course, absolutely.
That was a mad 90 seconds
Was
as
it?
well. They
Yeah.
just scored an own goal and then we just went up and scored. Well, anything you can do, we can do.
There's Rob. You mentioned there the idea of why you would or wouldn't do all of that sort of stuff, but I do think there is a sense that what Alison said before about not being overwhelmed by it. There is a sense, I think, with Klopp that he is trying to let the good times roll. I think this is this is an aspect of his management. I think that So I don't think it was sentimental. Sturridge must have been putting it in. If he hasn't been putting it in, let's say he's not getting the game. But I do think there is a thing, and with the Oxlade-Chamberlain and Shaqiri subs again, as was said, there wasn't a bit of an element of go and have a run around and enjoy yourselves, lads, in terms of tactical instruction there. Here's your set piece stuff, and apart from that, go and have a lovely time was an element of it. But right now, that's almost what this squad needs. It's just a glorified training session ahead of the game against Barcelona, but a glorified training session that's live on telly and where everyone gets to feel really, really good about it afterwards.
Yes, but he does it from the position of being 4 up, doesn't he, before he starts making the changes. So so you can do that sort of thing. He's aware that some rotation is going to be needed. I don't think it was like end of season substitutions last day, big clap for the fans. I think it was a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting when Wijnaldum, who comes off and he moves Henderson rather than just take Henderson off, which makes me think he's thinking about Wijnaldum's legs still.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's very aware that with Joe Gomez in particular, that if he can just over the next week get him up another level, back to that top level, he is the second best defender at the club. He showed that earlier in the season. At the moment, Matip doesn't deserve to be dropped. He was rested, I think, for Lovren, who I thought did well, despite being not hugely challenged by it. But I think he'd like to get Gomez there. I think he might think there's a a cameo in Oxlade-Chamberlain before the season's out. He's an incredibly talented footballer. He's not going to start a match between now and next August, but he could do something mental in the European Cup final for 15 minutes.
He nearly did.
He nearly did. There you go.
That was like so funny. He himself was like, I think, laughing when it happened.
Was he?
It was like, because how crazy would that have been to have come on and scored?
To have had that journey.
Yeah, that would have been too much, I think.
Yeah, but that's why it was sort of like half like. Damn,
I can't
half
remember.
like that's actually quite funny.
I can't remember the cop and the whole crowd like celebrating a player coming on like it was a goal. That was like, there was like this just primeval roar of like, welcome back. But like the last time I remember hearing something like that was John Flanagan of all players, because he'd been out for like a long time and obviously a local lad, and people wanted to see it. That was when our defence wasn't as good as it is now anyway.
There's something in, I think, John, on the good news stuff. I was very much saying rest the fullbacks, and then he plays the fullbacks and they do that, which as ever shows exactly what I know. But there is a thing, isn't there, where again it's Alexander-Arnold, it's Robertson who almost get to act as heartbeats of this Liverpool side in a way I've never really seen fullbacks be for any Liverpool team, for very few sides in general.
Yeah, no, they're massive players for us, and there's this continued desperation to get Trent to play in midfield that it's becoming kind of less and less easy to understand really when he's so important to us from the position that he's in. They've both got real license to get forward. They're both almost wingers really in terms of how they're playing, and the numbers kind of speak for themselves, and they've got that sort of healthy competition between them as well, haven't they? And I think both of them were excellent last night, and I understood there may be the temptation to rest them, but I think now it's you're in the home straight, aren't you? It's a sprint finish, and I think both of them are able to just kind of go to the end really, and hopefully kind of get us over the line. And so I think they'll be fine between now and the end of the season. And I just generally enjoyed their attitude to last game, not just those boys, but generally. It was a real celebration at full time, wasn't it? Like Lovren's, got the arms going and stuff. Loves like it. That. Yeah. I mean, he's not maybe started for a while, so he's he's maybe enjoying being back. But I was pleased how much they celebrated at full time, because I was like, yeah, you deserve that, boys. You know what I mean? And I think.
Do you know what I think, Joe? I think it was a defiance because the football world had decided, in a sense, without saying it, that Liverpool had been beaten badly in midweek without even playing. Do you know what I mean? It felt like that to supporters, and I think football, there was that Liverpool had been bowed, and I think it was a defiant display. We haven't been bowed. They may still be doing what they need to do, but we haven't been bowed, and we are still going onwards. And we did it in as emphatic of a fashion as you could.
We are still going onwards. Very quickly, just I'm intrigued as to who everyone goes for man of the match. I don't always ask, but as to who everyone will pick for man of the match in a game like that one. No.
Jurgen Klopp for them fist pumps at the end.
He's teasing them at the minute.
One of my faves. I was giving it to Naby at the end, but that was probably just giddiness. Probably Sadio Mane.
Yeah, I was going to say Sadio.
Sadio?
I think Trent got the official one.
Did he? That's
yeah, I think so. I thought Henderson was great. I thought Henderson was really good. But, you know, I thought the whole midfield was excellent.
Salah.
Always love it when there's different candidates for this sort of thing. And, you know, I don't think Virgil needed to have a shower after that.
And he was very good.
Sorry?
And he was very good.
And he was very, very good indeed.
Apart from the bit where he fell over, which was like...
Oh, when he was nearly
like,
injured.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That was
yeah.
like the definition of wince. Like when
Yeah.
you saw that left foot like jangle, I was just like, no.
And he has to,
Please,
yeah,
no.
I know. The anxiety is the maddest thing. Also, it's not like you can say, well, it shows we need to go out and buy another one of those lads in the summer. They don't exist. They don't.
Not the only one.
Yeah, the only one out there. So, yeah, that is, I think, thank God, touch wood, that he plays in a position where you don't tend to get, you know, the kind of injuries that fast players get, attacking players get. Jesus, I've tempted fate.
Let's move on from this.
Rob's
Tore myself into the ground. Do you want to hear my great theory about the Barcelona
walking
midfield?
under ladders. First, I was going to talk to you about Manchester City, Rob. So we'll just we'll tempt the listeners even further on that one. Your great theory about the Barcelona
not that
midfield.
worth waiting for.
We'll really sort of keep them on tenterhooks on the issue. We are now in the final throes of all of this. Manchester City have 3 remaining games. The first of them is this Burnley game coming up this weekend on Sunday.
I can't watch it. I'm sick of watching their opponents.
Are you going to pack in watching them?
I think I might. I've got to have something's got to give. I've watched every one of their. I just won't swear. Every one of their games since when, and it's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. I'm not going. But I need to find something to do. Maybe
should we go and play Quasar? Should we go and do Quasar? me and you have a big afternoon in New Brighton.
We could do that. Quasar
on the Leisure Peninsula.
What else would I do?
I think you've got to do something, which means that you can't be checking your phone and stuff like that.
Adam Melia watches Michael Portillo's Great Railway Journeys.
Yeah,
and it saw him through a couple of city slips.
But it's not worked for him in the last few weeks, sadly.
No, it's definitely not.
I think it is hard. I do find it hard to watch. If people are listening, I find it really hard to watch Manchester City play as well. I think that there's some people who are built for that sort of thing. I'm not one of them.
Yeah. They're so good, it's just painful sometimes.
It's that, but also I find it so sort of like psychologically draining, and not because they're winning. It's more because it's no way to live. It's no way to watch football. Basically wanting the ball to be in the centre circle is effectively no way to watch football.
Well, you're supporting rubbish teams.
Yeah, exactly.
They're much worse. You know, at least with Liverpool, we have our ups and downs, but broadly we're one of the better teams, right, in our world. You know, maybe we finish 4th, so there's only 3 better. So most of the time we watch Liverpool be better. And that's good for sanity.
And also, I think it's easier to support other people.
So we're saying it's insight into the psychology of people who support other teams.
I think it's more what I find difficult with it is they're not your lads. So you don't forgive them the mistakes. You know what I mean? You're not able to sort of go, right, I've seen him be good 3 weeks ago and do better than that, so I can, but that's going to come.
He's still furious with Jesse Lingard, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, still furious with Lings.
But you know in this game, like, none of this applies because it's Burnley, right?
And they're all of our lads.
So we don't even, but we don't actually even really need to watch it. I mean, my advice to anyone would just be like, you know what Burnley look like in this situation, right? They look like 2 very neat rows of 4 footballers defending, like with any limb that they can, obviously not hands, but like any limb that's within the rules of the game.
With a pink ball shouty man on the side.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
times.
We've all seen this any number of times, and this is how it's going to go. Manchester City are going to win. I feel like I'm not a person who makes predictions ever, but that is what's going to happen. And Burnley are going to attempt to defend in the same way that they always attempt to defend, and that's what's going to happen. So we should all not be anxious about it. We shouldn't even think about it because we know what's going to happen.
Is that fair, John, or is Jack Cork going to do the business for you?
Yeah, Jack Cork Ultras over here.
Have you changed your profile picture?
No, not quite that. But I mean, to be fair, like I'm not fair weather with Jack. Me and Jack Cork go way back, so you know.
Swansea days, you were behind him.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably watch it, to be honest with you. I take all your points. I accept, the valid issues that have been raised.
Can't talk you into any Quasar in New Brighton.
I mean, I like Quasar and I love New Brighton. I mean, I'm Will Curious, Neil, but
Quasar's a bit sweaty, isn't it?
You have to run around and that. Yeah.
You're not meant to run.
It's like
the rules are you don't run, but everybody runs.
5 seconds.
I don't think I've done Quasar in about 25 years. So
okay, I'm calling it Laser Quest, by the way.
Laser Quest, yeah.
It's just like a different name for it.
But then why would
Same
also
game.
if you're in on the Wirral and you want some sort of like activity in a darkened room, why would you not just go bowling?
I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah.
So if you're all on the Wirral this Sunday, we'll be in New Brighton.
The Quasar and the bowling are in the same gaff, so it's fine. You can do both.
Right, you can do both.
Yeah, you can choose. You can do both.
Can I have 2 games bowling instead?
2 games of bowling.
The cinema might be an alternative thing to do.
I think you're checking your phone.
Yeah, checking my phone.
I think you're checking your phone. You need to be.
You're not socially embarrassed.
You need people to shoot you. Effectively, you need to be shot at. Nothing focuses the mind like getting shot at by lasers. That's my position on this.
Right.
Even bowling, there's too much downtime, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because what are you doing whilst other people are bowling?
Balls coming back.
A big walk in the Lake District where there's no phone reception.
That's not a bad idea.
Up a mountain, Snowdon.
I was up Scarfell when Fulham beat Manchester United in 2009.
There you go.
So maybe I should need to go back.
There you go.
Feels all too much. Does anybody have... Alison's just ruled it out. She's got no hope whatsoever for Burnley. John, any hope for Burnley?
Massive. No, genuinely, yeah. I think it would be a really tough game. I think you saw with Man United with... although Man United were the best team that they had to play, I think teams like that find it hard sort of... being the underdog and being the idea of, they're not set up to make life difficult for anyone. Whereas Burnley, they love all that, don't they? And so I think they'll be relishing it. I think they'll give it a good go. And they turn a game into it'll be like 20 minutes or something. They'll have to score. City, like the ball's not going to be on the pitch. So try scoring then, dickheads.
I'd like to see... that's actually a good point. I'd like to see someone actually do some gamesmanship against them.
Oh, they're going to love it.
Nobody's rolls around against them. Nobody just, all the Mourinho tricks.
I think you're going to get that from Burnley.
Yeah, there'll be quite a lot of
I want Ashley Cole drinking water really slowly.
Yeah, they're more elbow than man, Burnley.
I reckon I could coach them for this game. You
could give a team talk, couldn't you?
Yes, yeah.
You could very much give a team talk, but I think Sean's got it covered. Have you got any hope, or are you now just saying, listen, I'm leaving it?
I've parallel got no hope, and at the same time, I do have voices in my head generally that say this type of stuff does happen.
Ignore them.
Sorry.
Just ignore them.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No. Yeah, well, okay. But I remember us chasing... I wrote this in my preview of yesterday's piece. Us chasing down Everton in '86, and for no reason they lost. It was Oxford United. I think they lose.
Oxford couldn't even score.
Yeah. One of the great lines of English literature history. Yes.
And it was... So it does happen. I mean, going into the Christmas period this season, City were winning football matches left, right and centre, and we were in their slipstream. And they go and lose at home to Crystal Palace, and then follow that up 3 days later by losing at... Leicester, yeah. Mad stuff can happen.
I still think these are the voices in your head, Rob.
These are the voices in my head. I said there's 2. There's one that's going, there's no chance. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting other people's time.
Yep.
And we're not winning this league.
So let's talk about the European... Kiva,
I'm throwing the towel in. I'm watching City again this season. You're
not watching it?
Maybe I'll watch the FA Cup final. That's it. I just don't want to watch them.
Can Burnley get anything?
I think they might. I've got this little bit of optimism that will never leave me.
More voices in the head.
And hope that maybe it could just be a Sean Dyche blockade and annoyance, a 0-0 or just like a 1-1 or something.
I think Brendan goes and wins 3-0 there if we're going to have mad voices in our head.
Yeah, can we do that?
He just goes and raids the place, and he goes and plays this mad formation. Burnley get beaten 4-0.
We're living in hope, Ali.
Okay, I'm going to ask you at the end of the show whether or not you think we're going to win the league or not. Isn't that something to look forward to? To give you that to look forward to, because I've taken away the Rob Gutmann thing. Rob Gutmann, what is your midfield Barcelona theory? Right. Settle yourself in.
Well, I don't think, just listening to what he was describing Firmino's injury, a small tear, not the worst things. I know it's Bobby, he'll probably be okay and all that. But if he's got something that could get worse, and it sounds like he has got something which could get a bit worse, I think he has to be very, very careful with him, because... there's a second leg to come, there's Newcastle to come, there's maybe a European Cup final to come. So I think he's going to have to be careful with Firmino. And I don't think there's a cat and else chance he puts Daniel Sturridge on the pitch or Origi in Barcelona. I don't think. So I think, because you kind of want to be fairly solid against Barcelona and that mad attack of theirs, I think he goes 4-4-2, if no Firmino, with a diamond, with Salah and Mane up front and Naby Keita at the head of the diamond, who might not have played if it's a standard 4-3-3 in Barcelona, and he goes something like Henderson and Wijnaldum at the sides and Fabinho at the base because it'd be better from his headache by then. And that's what I think will happen if Firmino doesn't make it. There. You've all waited, and now you've got it.
It was. John Gibbons. I felt it was it was worth looking forward to, and I think that Rob might have a point.
He may have a point. He's got a decision to make on Bobby, hasn't he? I mean, Bobby famously recovers quickly, doesn't he? And the managers talked about it before, and maybe they just thought maybe he could have played last night if it had been a different situation, but they just decided to not risk him. I think if he can get Firmino on the pitch, he will, but if he doesn't, I think it's a fair shout because I think he will bring Milner back in. I think Milner starts this one, and you'd be shocked if Gini and Henderson don't play as well. So
no Fabinho for you then.
Well, he wasn't in the squad, was he? So
because of the injury, though.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. So, but I don't know if you play him anyway. So I think he goes for those three, and then so if Keita is looking to get in the team, then I think it probably will be in the front three.
Alison, what do you think? Do you think it will be the same back four with Matip in for Lovren, as we saw last night? Both full back start, no sneaky Joe Gomez at right back. And what do you think of Rob's midfield question?
Yeah, I think Rob's probably right. I think on the defenders, I think that I think he's going to keep them pretty much the same. I think it's interesting the point about the plan, since you said that, Rob, about that Klopp's got a plan in his head. Like, obviously it's weird because you sort of feel like, okay, we've kind of scoped out our run in to the league. I wouldn't say football's never predictable, but these are relatively predictable sides that we are playing that are well understood. Barcelona is obviously fairly predictable in how they're quite good, but the Champions League is less predictable because this is a knockout competition and we really don't know what's going to happen, and in a weird way that's sort of become the more exciting of the two competitions.
We don't play against these teams, that's why it's always unpredictable.
Exactly. So like, this is a classic European game where you look down the team sheet and you think, oh wow, this is some team that we are playing here, and this is a massive opportunity. And when John was talking then about Bobby and Fabinho, like, in their own minds, this is the game. This is the set of games that they really want to play in, right? So all of those discussions about fitness or otherwise will be incredibly pressurized for them, and those players are going to want to play in these games. So I think like Rob's probably got it about right, and I think that the Milner starting one is an interesting one. Like, are we talking experience over fitness? And I mean, I'm not saying James Milner's not fit, but what's the overarching rationale for Milner?
I think John, you just think he wants Milner on the pitch in these games.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's generally picked him in his big away games, and I think you do it again. I think Milner's obviously all of his experience. He's I think he's seen as reliable. He's seen as I think Jürgen sort of sees him as his guy really, and so he's not playing obviously every week because he didn't play last night. But I'd be shocked if he doesn't start Milner, to be honest.
Kiwa, you expect him to start Milner? Are you expecting him to, I'll say again, do anything at right back? Maybe Joe Gomez in for Trent, or do you think he's going to go with the boys who've got him here and go from there?
I think who pairs Van Dijk's going to be really interesting, because obviously Lovren playing last night sort of brought him back into the thing, because he disappeared for a little bit, hadn't he? And then obviously I didn't want Matip not to play because I feel like he might forget how to play. Not like that, but like I just feel like he's on such a good. He's a good defender, and he's on this sort of roller coaster of momentum. It just keeps going up, and he's been immense for us, and I can't give him much more than that. He's been great, but obviously Gomez comes in as well, so he doesn't, I don't think, start or get it in because he just doesn't look maybe fit enough. Klopp doesn't look like he's ready for that yet. But Lovren, he likes these games, doesn't he? These semi-finals.
Oh, I don't want to see him there.
He's
one of them.
He
Rob.
does just.
No, I know, but against lads who turn you inside out,
He could either be turned inside out or be just unbelievable. He's one or the other, isn't he, Lovren? I think.
Yeah, but I think maybe the point on Milner is like it reduces the level of risk on the pitch, and that's what Klopp is.
But then I don't want Milner to get overrun as well at the same time.
That was my point.
Which is a worry.
Like, I completely get the rationale, and that Klopp clearly has a lot of faith and trust in him, as John said. But yeah, that's my one. Really?
Does he do the? A lot of people will say if he does pick it, yeah, of course he was always going to pick the bulldog midfield, which is Henderson, Milner, and Wijnaldum. But I think it will be influenced now by what happens with Firmino. I
hope he's listening, because I think your point's really good.
I think it's good. I think though I think you have to think about being Roberto Firmino, and I think that if he can play, I think I understand
be on the bench, maybe.
But I think it's really all of this. I think one of the things is when we talk about feel good stuff, we're talking about the way in which he manages and the way in which he engages with his players. And I think if you're Roberto Firmino, you may never get another chance to play in a Champions League semi-final or a Champions League game at Barcelona. That might just literally never come in your career. So I think if he is, if he's approaching fit enough, he'll be doing everything he can to get selected. And then the manager, as I say, as part of how he goes about his business, is almost like he can't take that chance away from him at this stage. Haven't got him there. Oh, they will scan him, but if it's
this was my point before, that basically these will be very high stakes conversations now.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. It's kind of like, of course, when this is at Anfield, there's going to be a whole story about Suarez and Coutinho and.
All the hits,
blah blah blah, all the greatest hits that we have come to know and love, all the predictable stories. Will Suarez celebrate, if he scores a goal and all of that? Who cares?
Best ad,
right? But
it's not given the problem,
yeah, right. But also, who cares? Because have you seen the other players they've got? And obviously, I have great respect for all of them, but this is going to be a big deal for Bobby to play against some of these players at their gaff, and I think that it's going to be a really serious question for Klopp, as you say, Neil. I think
he's got to work out, John. I'll say the same thing about Gomez. I think I can make a really long tactical argument that you start Gomez over Trent. I just think that's a difficult conversation to have with Trent, when even there, this might be the last time that Trent gets the opportunity. He's very young, but we haven't played Barcelona in a European knockout game since 2007. My thing on this is that sometimes I think we can want him to be tactically really, really smart, but he's also got a group of players to manage, and sometimes he's got to go with who's brought him to the party, and that's why I think he will go with Trent over Gomez at right back, because I think it's difficult to look Trent in the eye and say, you were great for me all the way last season through the European run, you've been great for me all the way through the season, you just had 17 assists against Huddersfield, but now I'm playing Joe Gomez because I trust him a tiny little bit more defensively.
And you got to remember the final last year as well, where everyone was worried about Trent, weren't they? And he was probably our best player in the end. In that final, I thought he played brilliantly, and people were saying, what's Ronaldo going to do to him, and all this, and I thought he was excellent, and so I'm sure that's in Jurgen's mind, but Jurgen will get it right. He hasn't lost a knockout tie in Europe since he's been at Liverpool, and so we can talk about kind of what we do, and it's fun to kind of speculate, but Jurgen will have a plan. Jurgen will know exactly Barcelona's threats. He'll know exactly what we need to do to go and get a result there, and I'm expecting Liverpool to get a result there. It's because as Rob says, they're the best team in Europe.
It's one of the things about being the best team in Europe is you get to win games, Rob.
Yeah, you do. I'm getting ever more bullish about this game the nearer it draws. I'm happy to be playing Barcelona. I think there's a couple of other sides I may be less happy to play than Barcelona. I think they will suit us. I hope they don't pick Dembele, and I hope they do pick Coutinho. And I think we can play high, we can play fast, and I think we should go and try and win it in the first leg. I want us to win 3-1 in the first leg, and I think we can.
Absolute scenes from Rob Gutmann. Again, given that team talk, wheel them around Europe. Team talks for hire. Just coming to the end of the show. Really simple question. John Gibbons, are Liverpool going to win the league?
I think they will. Yeah.
Yep. Rob Gutmann.
I haven't got a clue. No, I think it's unlikely. Yeah, I think it's unlikely.
Unlikely.
But hope springs eternal.
Alison.
I think that this is unfortunately going to go with Serve, and we are not going to win the league.
Okay.
We're going to win the league.
You're going to win the league?
Yeah, come on.
Kiva's decided. Kiva's there. John's
Kiva's
there.
the one having a pint with.
Hey, I'm with you. I mean,
I can't
be the
believe
most, wouldn't it? Be peachy if we won the league.
It would be peachy,
Rob.
Rob.
Really, really great thing.
It would be peachy. Just why you've thought about it. You think we're going to win the league. My point is that you're not cheerleading there. You think we're going to win the league.
No, I think City will drop points. Yeah, I think they just will slip up eventually. They can't win forever. So at some point,
it's a fairly good go at it.
No, but at some point, Man City going to draw or lose a football game.
If we could maybe the season could be 10 games longer.
When this is my theory that
Sunday.
Okay.
If not
Okay, 'cause
Sunday,
that's-
Shit, I'm watching
whenever
it.
the
That's
next
the
Let's go down the boozer.
The calculation that I've made is that I just can't see how they do that.
I think 13-14, I remember going, Liverpool are going to win forever. And I think it was Steve Huddersfield saying they won't, And it was like they're not going to win forever.
Yeah, but there's a minimum number of games left in the season. They don't have to win forever. They just have to win a couple more times.
John's thinking about all eternity. Alison's thinking about 3 games. This is where we all are right now. I hope you've enjoyed this show. I'd like to think it's been a bit of a window into a psyche after Liverpool beat a poor relegated Huddersfield side by 5-0, but that is still an achievement in and of itself. This has been the Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. Thank you very much to Caoimhe. Thank you very much to Rob. Thank you very much to John. Thank you very much to Alison. I am firmly in John's camp.
Hey.